All right, future CPAs, listen up. Welcome to your high-speed review session, designed to help you absolutely crush the LCPA. Today, we're zoning in on the must-know essentials of cooperative capital. This is the stuff that needs to stick in your brain, not just for the test, but for the long haul.
So let's kick things off with a question to get your brain fired up. What do you think it is? There's one specific rule about cooperative capital that's like a classic trick question on the exam. But don't worry, by the end of this quick explainer, you're going to spot it from a mile away and nail the answer every single time.
Okay, first things first. Before you can tackle the tough questions, you got to know where a cooperative gets its cash. Think of it like a financial toolbox with a few different tools inside. Let's pull them out and look at each one.
The bedrock, the absolute foundation of it all, is the members' share capital. This is the money that members pay in themselves to fund the whole operation. It's their skin in the game, you know? This is the primary source, the starting point for everything.
Next up, just like pretty much any other business, co-ops can take on debt. We're talking about loans, accepting deposits, stuff like that. But here's your exam pro tip. A co-op can't just go on a borrowing spree. Any major borrowing has to get the green light from both the board of directors and the General Assembly. That's a key detail.
Now, this is a really interesting strategy that's kind of unique to co-ops, revolving capital. So instead of paying out all the profits to members, the co-op can decide to hold on to that cash for a bit and reinvest it back into the business. It's basically like the members are loaning their own earnings back to the co-op to fuel growth. Pretty smart, right?
And finally, co-ops can get a little help from the outside through things like grants and donations. But listen, here is a critical point for the exam. This money does not belong to individual members. It becomes part of the co-op's donated capital, which is a communal fund that absolutely cannot be divided up and distributed. Remember that difference. Okay, everybody, focus up. If you only remember one thing from this entire review, make it this. This is the golden rule of co-op capital. I'm serious. This is the one limitation you cannot, under any circumstances, forget when you're sitting in that exam room.
Burn this number into your memory. 10%. It's not just some random number, it's the absolute key to understanding how ownership works in a primary cooperative. It's all about democratic control. Let's see exactly what that means.
So here's the bottom line. There's a hard ceiling. No single person is allowed to own more than 10% of a primary co-op. This rule is a massive safeguard that makes sure no one member can get too powerful and control everything. It keeps the whole thing democratic, where everyone gets a say.
And this isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. What you're looking at right here is the exact wording from Article 73 of the Philippine Cooperative Code. It's a good idea to get your eyes on the actual legal text because this is how it might be phrased in a question.
Awesome. We've locked in that 10% ownership limit. So, what happens when a member wants to transfer their shares to someone else? Well, it's not a free-for-all. There are specific rules for the handoff, and you need to know them.
Don't let a share transfer question throw you off. Just remember this simple three-step checklist. First, the member has to have owned the shares for at least 1 full year. Second, they can only sell them to 2 parties, back to the co-op itself or to someone who is actually eligible to become a member. And third, the board of directors has to give the final okay. All 3 of those conditions have to be met. No exceptions.
All right, it's time for our final exam bullet review. This is your study hack, your 60-second cram session to lock all this info into your long-term memory. Let's condense everything we just covered into one powerful summary.
And there it is, your entire cheat sheet on one slide. You've got the 4 main capital sources. You've got the golden rule, no more than 10% ownership, and you've got the 3 must-haves for any share transfer. Screenshot this, write it down, whatever you need to do, just make sure you know these points cold.
So let's end with this. Don't just memorize the 10% rule. Understand why it exists. Think about it. How does that one single limitation protect the very soul of a cooperative? It all comes back to equity and democratic control. Understanding that why is what separates knowing a fact from truly mastering the concept. Now, good luck with your review and go ace that exam.